What can I say? We back, baby.
Let the melanin show such a beautiful glow. I wanna put my drapery.
Shout to Drake Cobb.
Love below. I usually switch them up every season is so pretty brown.
Man, they ain't working with us, man.
You come around, you know how I get down. We can skip town, take you to exotic beaches. Let the sun hit you and look at your exotic features. My Empress love thing, we go together like yin and yang. Ride or die, we got our own gang. Me and you loving this shit. She knows she my number one pick. She ride stick and don't need a learner's permit. We in our zone when the runs get lit. Cause I know you feeling me. You like how my spirit's free and how we build with the same energy. Drake Cobbs and you know I keep it low key. One hit of this pipe and turn into a dope fiend. It's 10 toes down. When you around, you know how we get down. Yeah.
Your eyes, my love. Your smile can't disguise.
Be my Mississippi and just flow with me. I give you parts you can only see. I wish the younger me was in tune with the older me. We'll be right where we supposed to be. I just want to embrace you. Whole world try and trace you. American goddess, your image all over the planet. The definition of organic. Your body is a work of art like Chichen Itza. It's copper color, it's nice to meet you. She says she Cherokee, wear a feather in her hair. And I'm right there, it's quite clear. Me and you together with Spark Fest. It's you and ITY in the universe intertwined. Causing eclipse like when the sun and the moon align. Now that's power divine that can light up the whole skyline. The touch your kiss, it gets me every time. Empress, you stay on my mind. You know you one of a kind because when I shine, you shine. Yeah. It's nothing like the American Indian Empress. You one of a kind.
Your smile
DJ Super Blaze is in the mix.
Yeah, you listening to Super Blaze. Let's go.
Bang, 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 bang.
This shit hit hard like Spence on the speed bag. I blow his legs off, he gon' need a knee tag. You niggas sound worse than Eminem on relapse. And Burna Boy, he's trash. You thought I was gonna let you ease past? Running your mouth while taking our culture. Treat this nigga like brisket and slow roast him. Roll up an Akon pack. I ain't ducking smoke, I just did hell and blow. I'm on demon time and I got a hellish flow. Before these spiritual, I make them see the Holy Ghost. Let's bury these niggas and raise a toast to the Aborigines. That's from time immemorial. A tauntaun is from the soil. Every rhyme is that cook coke, that hard boil. My energy is unattainable. And for you $5 Indians, I might have to flame a few. Run up on the reds, you know I'm blazing through. Turn your gang into turtle soup. I aim for the head when I shoot. I take your top off like you do the coop. I took a drink from the fountain of truth. Now these bars is the burden of proof. They say the pen is mightier than the sword. So you gon' have to acknowledge the God. Drake Cobbs, I take your face off. My style is like cocaine raw. You gon' have to bow down to my Jaguar paw. Or I'm coming like Leatherface with the chainsaw. I ride for my road dog like a new age outlaw. I do it to death like Chief Cornstalk. So fuck all your tough talk. You little pigeons can't fly with hawks. Better get you outlined and chalk. It's the supreme being here to electrify your chakra. Any drama is mask on like the Phantom of the Opera. I got the hunger and you niggas looking like pasta. Shrimp over the lobster and I'm smoking like Rasta. Check posture. It's only one American. The rest of y'all imposters. Cause you don't want Dre to pop up. Cause it's like boys in the hood. I'm out the window with the shotty, nigga. When it comes to the mic, I'm like the coroner. All I catch is bodies, niggas. So look my way before you come in my lane. It's arrows up. I just get it and aim. Yeah.
DJ Super Blaze is in the mix.
I've been building mounds, not a mouse. Turn the pyramids, school of thought. Follow God, fuck what your religion is. Y'all niggas look small from the view of my pyramid. Hey, look at that from my pyramid. I've been building mounds, not a mouse. Turn the pyramids, school of thought. Follow God, fuck what your religion is. Y'all niggas look small from the view of my pyramid. Hey, look at that from my pyramid. I've been building mounds, not a mouse. Turkey pyramids, school of thought. Follow God, fuck what your religion is. Y'all niggas look small from the view of my pyramid. Hey, look at that from my pyramid. I've been building mounds, not a mouse. Turkey pyramids, school of thought. Follow God, fuck what your religion is. Y'all niggas look small from the view of my pyramid. Hey, look at that from my pyramid. School of thought, I was building mounds. All I did was dig. Now I'm building pyramids. Mama, look at what I did. Cut off the leash, I took off the hook. The world brainwashed off of just one book. Same book to my mama, turn her other cheek. Don't bring me no beats, that shit get cooked. Did my research, found out my work. Shit, I own everything on earth. That's why the Elohim with the young God like me to cast off who the rocks, pussy, knockers in the dirt. Master ceremony, listen what the God say. Manifest life off of what I say. Parasite D-I-A-Y-A. Pour up the liquor, then I say I shake. I've been building mounds, not a mouse. Circuit pyramids, school of thought. Follow God, fuck what your religion is. Y'all niggas look small from the view of my pyramid. Hey, look at that from my pyramid. I've been building mounds, not a mouse. Circuit pyramids, school of thought. Follow God, fuck what your religion is. Y'all niggas look small from the view of my pyramid. Hey, look at that from my pyramid.
DJ Super Blaze.
Truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't, it ain't legalized. Realize, realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Real eyes, realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Real eyes, realize. Realize. Yeah, slavery was a long time ago. How? Same motherfuckers still here right now. Colonized on our land, they ahead of us. Changed our name so much, they scared of us. Children of the sun, y'all don't compare to us. Pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Talking about America, pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Even up the playing field, bitch, I'm darn. How you a victim, bitch, you a Karen. Cognitive dissonance, you don't need sperm. You got white privilege, so you don't need sperm. Looking at my homeland, man, I can't believe her. Colonized came here, they ain't never leave her. Indians ain't die off cause we here. You ain't gotta lie, just say you won't be here. How you American but not indigenous? 400 years still ain't get rid of us. All Europeans, naturalized citizens. Made all the Indians, niggas on the system. 1492, we was on the fences. Civil rights movement, we was so defensive. Black Wall Street, whites got so offended. Common law rights, gave us amendments. Thank God don't speak truth, that's alright. First slave 1619 was all white. 1200 wasn't no continent, all white. Europe named after a black woman. I ain't grafted, it come from. Look. America, 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 with you the long way. America, 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 with you the long way. America to marry, 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 America to marry. Treating me like you cheating on me. I got an SSC and they leeching on me. They done went under the bleachers on me. All you wanna do is tax me. You ain't even really asked me. Ain't no full disclosure. Made me feel like it's over. We ain't break up, no closure. We ain't get no domestic. Is you foreign or domestic? Respect it or you can check it. I care about this country. I care about this country, but this country ain't got no love for me. It's treating me all monkey. On the boat is how they got here, and just look around, it's a lot here. They really put down the plot here, but they birthrights, it's not here. I'm from the soil, copper colored. I ain't black, no crude oil. Thinking about this two-door. America, 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 with you the long way. America, 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 with America, with you the America.
One of them nights, man, I don't know. Mac who would say somebody, huh? I'm telling you.
Feeling like I'm sorry. I don't need no driver license. No, I don't need just a beauty like a license. That the ride or die is still the show. You know they try to drown me in Admiralty, but I'm alive, they can't bury me. Now I'm wealthy and scholarly. Walk on the scene like I'm JC. Now I'm doing bigger, better. I'm changing atmospheres, levitating. The meditation clears the mind, keep it so clear. Don't you let them use you, keep your weapon near. Celebration is the only way out here. We gotta be tired of dying and burying people out here. I know it's hard cause they shoot first. They pull up, yeah, they click clack, they do dirt. They go home, then they'll get back. But they can't bother me, nah. Cause I'm not property. This is essential. Essential. Yeah, this is the mission, yeah. To be free and clear, living off the land, feel like a trillionaire. This the mission. I ain't gotta care. Living on my dream and killing on and killing on it.
Yeah, you listening to Super Blaze, let's go.
The original evil bastard, cutthroat warmonger, backstabber, betray your own mother. You double tongue, double talk, cause you two-faced it. You 666 with a hiss like Satan. No good snake, you only speak lies. Slime bucket, scum of the universe, your eyes reveal that you had no soul and expose your true colors. I see you from 3 million miles away. You use a sneaky motherfucker, but you can't fool me. You're not my bro, you're not my sis. The devil doesn't have a skin color or complexion. So the original evil bastard, cutthroat warmonger, backstabber, betray your own mother. You double tongue, double talk, cause you two-faced it. You 666 with a hiss like Satan. No good snake, you only speak lies. Slime bucket, scum of the universe, your eyes reveal that you had no soul and expose your true colors. I see you from 3 million miles away. You use a sneaky motherfucker, but you can't fool me. You're not my bro, you're not my sis. The devil doesn't have a skin color or complexion. So you're not my brother, you're not my sister. Yeah, your skin might be brown, but I know that you down with about 2 billion demons. Listen, stay the fuck away from me or get killed for treason against the Most High. You might got these other people scared of you, but that shit don't fly. Over here, we laugh at you, but it's not a joke. Cause people need to know about the Black Devil. Yeah, the real outcast. Your time is up, it's not the end of the world, it's the age of Aquarius. You's a deceiver, you got the whole world confused in the days like some rats in the maze. You's a shapeshifter, I don't care if you the Pope, the President or Prime Minister. King, queen, prince or princess. You just frontin' for the public and you frontin' for the press. But behind closed doors, what really goes on is ritualistic, cannibalistic, sadistic, masochistic, some real sick shit. The most wicked there is that ever lived. Under the sun, the infamous Daywalker. The movie Blaze, just metaphorical. Yes, the greatest trick that the devil ever pulled is convincing the world the devil don't exist. People have no clue. They looking for a red man with a pitchfork, but that's just not true. Some say it's the white man, but yo, I'm here to let you know if you ain't know about the Black Devil. Yeah, yo, peace, God. Today's mathematics, God. Yeah, science, man. Knowledge, equality of all people, even though physically we not all equal. Erase the racism. The only thing I see when I look at a person is good or evil. But the black man is God. Yeah, that shit sound good, but that shit don't apply when you try and get a job. This is real world music, reality rap. We spend too many years on that fantasy crap. It's time we deal with the facts. And the fact is, you're not better than somebody cause the color of your skin. After 3 years in prison, and a white boy showed me more love than any of my so-called niggas. so you can go and prove your doctrine. The only thing that matters is you negative or positive, and you could go to hell even where I'm sure you'll be fine with the rest of your kind. People are so blind, so deaf, so dumb, which proves you won the battle, but the war not done. You might got these other people fooled, but you can't fool we, cause we know that you a black devil.
That song never gets old, man. I always hear something new, you know what I mean? You know what it is, man. Super Blaze inside the campaign mix. We just easing it right now. They wasn't working with us, man. They wasn't working with us, Monte. So we gotta work with the program, you know what I mean? In the meantime, between time. Let's go.
Shout out to the Mama Chief. Yeah.
Drake Cobb music.
If Mama speak, what she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, my pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of a voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with them eyes apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just want to thank you for my creation, cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all rap for Mama Chief. The dedication.
Run that back one more time. Shout out to my Mama Chiefs out there. You know what it is.
Shout out to the Mama Chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of a voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with them eyes apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just want to thank you for my creation, cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all rap for Mama Chief. The dedication, I sing your teeth.
I know you seen what happened out there in Canada, bro. What we talking about, man? 305. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut that audio up for a minute. But yeah, let me play one more. We can get into that, Mac. Real talk. That's boy.
I'll be on that turnpike. You know what I'm talking about? I'll be on that turnpike 5 days out the week, easy. You heard me? Let go. That's a little love for Rose, man. That's a little love for Rose, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard about what you said though. What happened with him up there in Canada? You know what going on with the whole Drake. You know Drake. You know what I'm saying? And beef going on. You know with others outside of Kendrick. That's why that verse, that line he put when Kendrick say, you know what I mean? It's so many people that he got beef with. He says, I pass on you like John Stockton. You know what I'm talking about? So no, but for real though, in real time, yeah, Ross is obviously one of them. Obviously, what's his name? Man, he an R&B dude. Is it The Weeknd? I think it's The Weeknd. Yeah, B2, right? Weeknd, another Future, Metro. You know what I mean? Got some issues with some people in different areas. You know what I'm talking about? But however though, you know, Ross from our area. You know, I can't front 305-954 South Florida. I like to say the Cuesta territory, also known later on as Seminole territory. But at the same time, you know what I mean, Maroon territory. That's the Lucy. Please don't say my name in vain. Oh, it's your boy Mac Ether, by the way. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us live, whoever's here with us live. MusicMediaLounge.com. You already know what it is. Shout out to Tig and the whole crew. We live in the studio. We live in the booth. Obviously not just locally. Lauderdale Hill. You already know what it is. Lords of the Hill. You know what I'm talking about. I've been reading some shit about the Barons and shit because of this bill tonight. You know, BSB, Baron Brothers and shit. You know what I mean? Baron. You know what I mean? But yeah, shout out to my Baron Brothers. You already know what it is. Shoot. Also too, shout out to God of Green, Baron P, Super Blaze, Firebird, everybody with the social club, everybody with the ministry. You already know what it is. Everybody that supports the brand, like, subscribe, and share. You heard me? This is, you know, a Sunday service type of vibe we give you. You know what I mean? On our Sunday evening, and wherever you might be located at, internationally too. And shout out to again all the listeners from the music media lounge side for what we do. You know what I mean? Got to keep it real. As we get into this though, we're gonna first obviously give you that bump, and then I'm gonna get straight to it. We ain't got no guests tonight because next week I'm gonna give you a head up. And Tuesday coming up, Tuesday, and then next week Sunday we got some heavy shit coming. So we really this is like an in between, but hope y'all enjoy what they call 4th of July weekend. You got a long weekend, some of you. You know what I mean? So I can understand you might not be in place. You might be on vacation this summertime with your children, and family, whatever you might be doing, visiting folk or friends, whatever, loved ones. But however the case, be safe. I hope you had a safe weekend. I seen somebody almost blew off his hand doing fireworks. I heard a lot of people waste their money on bullets shooting in the air or hopefully at the ground. But however, independence. We're dealing with independence because it's a cliche thing today, being that a lot of people go with certain narratives, you know. Shrishti, for those who subscribe to telling people today that all their kinfolk came over here on slave ships. So that means you would have to try to visualize where your people were at in 1775 during with the American Revolution and the time frame of, you know, 4th of July, 1776, independence and all them kind of things. Actually, they say it actually happened on July 2nd, you know what I mean? And it's some other stuff tied to it too. I think, God, we've been doing the show for a minute now. So we've covered 4th of July being tied to Sirius. I know we've covered that, you know what I mean, on this show 4 years now. Maybe that 4th of July is tied to a constellation or a star series, you know what I mean, of things. Serious folk, you know what I mean, only can tap in. If you're into it, you're into it, right? But some people say because of the Masonic lore behind the founding fathers and the independence, that they aligned to do this declaration on the alignment with the star system we call Sirius. So it is interesting that 4th of July, the dog days of summer, because that's what we in, you know what I'm saying? It's tied to that. But it's a little more involved because it's a campaign year this year. So this year, I'm not going to go into detail about stuff that most of you could go and obviously know. You can, you know, go type that in, Sirius and 4th of July, and you'll go down the rabbit hole yourself. You know what I mean? Or the dog hole. Dogs dig holes too. But at the same time, in this situation, we're dealing with just certain things of the walk of independence. Of, you know, we always hear one side of it, and other things aren't put in. So just from a show standpoint, we're not probably going to cover every little detail, but we're going to give you a special edition. And God agree, I'll be right back. Tap in.
nigga, it's the top 5 lister. Double S drifter. Separate sipping, and you know I came with it if she cute with it.
This could take quite a bit of time.
Status in Cherokees riding Ruchis. In my war bonnet, if you want it, bring it to your region. And black force is the same color the European. Heart and my autonomy.
Constellation and alignment with the sun. That's a big thing, you know, as above, so below type of thing. But God, I'm ready. Let's get them to the first joint real quick. Independence, you know what I mean? The quality or state of being independent. You know, the autonomous party, autonomy to self-govern in the independent way. Because if not, then you're not fully independent, and then you're subject to somebody else, then you would think that, you know, you would want to be subject in a manner of equality within who you're depending upon as a government, I would say, you know. But there's levels, I guess, on who is being treated as a priority within the system of the equality, I guess, you know. Independence, though. And as there was a time, as we're going to show, especially going, shout out to Lee Cummings in that book 7, Negro Question Series, part 7, the Swarthy Memoirs of the American Revolution, which is 1775. And as we did part 2 of this Aboriginal story of America, towards the end of it, shout out to Tecumseh, we talked about the Inquisition, you know what I'm saying? And that right there needs to be understood as well, you feel me? So independence, though, is the guy you can slide up a little bit for this source. Anything else, meat on the bone, just in case anybody just make new just synonyms. You see that? Self-reliant, self-support, self-dependent. Just, you know, just make sure you get it. So we slide on. That's the elementary, right? You can keep it moving. But then, as we talk tonight, and I'm gonna give you an example towards the end of somebody that felt this way, and others. It says here, the second, you can slide down a bit, guy. I know Wikipedia ain't, but you know, this quick and easy so you can catch on. All right. The second class citizen is a person who is systematically and actively discriminated against within a state or other political jurisdiction, despite their nominal status as a citizen or legal resident there, while not necessarily slaves, outlaws, illegal immigrants, or criminals. Second-class citizens have significantly limited legal rights, civil rights, and social economic opportunities, and are often subject to mistreatment and exploitation at the hands of their putative superiors. Systems with de facto second-class citizenry are widely regarded as violating human rights. See, it said it's violating human rights. And in my opinion, there's a lot of folk that have been violated and are still violated because they technically ain't got recognized or repaired or restored to their human rights. For some, I guess, would look at 13th and 14th things that were amended within a constitution to that state. You know what I'm saying? What happened, guy? You good? Okay. Um, yeah, right. The typical conditions facing second class citizens include, but are not limited to. There's that word. I like that word too. Y'all should get yourself familiar with it. Disenfranchisement, a lack or loss of voting rights, limitations on civil or military services, not including conscription in every case, restrictions on language, religion, education. Yeah, the group of people I'm going to be talking about that they label a certain thing that people fighting about right now definitely were limited to the language they were speaking within their jurisdictions, religion they could be underneath, and obviously to how much education of skill sets, etc. They were already, you know, in those positions. um Lack of freedom of movement. Oh yeah, without that freedom pass, I'm talking about when we talk about these different areas and these colonies that are dealing with certain things, that's part of it, right? The right to bear arms, man. That's a group of people I know, that we got to, you might have that in common in your ancestry. Restriction on marriage. If you got called based off the black codes in certain states, based off the time frame of the state, taking in the black code within their state, then you got to walk it down, right? They're at the risk of their marriage being taken, not being able to own property. Restriction on property ownership would also limit you from being in a first class citizen position, right, God? What you think? Because all those things are part of being a first class citizen, I would think, even if you're a subject and dependent on said nation, state, or government, right? So, second class citizen. So I heard some people say, folk were just slaves. They weren't in second class positions. Well, taxation about representation is what we're going to get into. But first, we just slide, y'all. I just wanted to show that to you. Remember that? Log that into your memory. On part two, before we go, when I got my librarian guy with me, you know what I'm saying? He's going to help me walk this out. And you can make it a little bigger, guy, for the folk out there. They got cataracts like me. 1 second. Um, Requirement, pronunciation. I messed that up. Pronouncement to be read by Spanish conquerors defeated Indians. That little small part, see, because that's where they get you. Like, now they always get you with the small letters at the bottom of something. They give you the bold joint. That's the shit. But the bottom part, got to pay attention to all of it, right? But the requirement was written in 1510. So, because the librarian guy, he ain't really going to give you this. So I'm trying to fast forward. But this is the document that I'm using as my marker to get you kind of into the time frame he was talking about, right? As fast as possible. So it says the requirement in English was written in 1510 by the Council of Castile. Now, how most people like to say Spain, but technically, documentation wise, it would be Castile and Aragon that came together in the region we call Hispaniola. Not New Hispaniola or New Spain, as they would say, but that area that's Castile and Aragon's territories. Now, the Council of Castile, to be read out loud as an ultimatum to conquered Indians in the Americas, is asserted the religious authority of the Roman Catholic Pope over the entire earth and the political authority of Spain over the Americas, except Brazil, because of the Portuguese. And from 1493, Papal Bull that divided the Western Hemisphere between Spain and Portugal, the Portuguese. It demanded that the conquered peoples accept Spanish rule and Christian preaching or at risk of subjugation, enslavement, and death. Often the requirement was read in Latin to the Indians with no interpreters present or even delivered from shipboard to an empty beach, revealing its prime purpose as self-justification for Spanish invaders. You can give them like a little bit right there. On the part of the king, Don Fernando and Donna Juana, that's how I said it, his daughter, Queen of Castile and Leon, subduers of the barbarous nations, we their servants notify and make known to you as best we can that the Lord our God, living eternal, created the heaven and the earth in one man and one woman, of whom you and we, all the men of the world, were the multitude which has sprung from this man and woman in the 5,000 years since the world was created. It was necessary that some men should go one way and some another, and that they should be divided into many kingdoms and provinces. For in one alone they could not be sustained. Of all these nations, God, our Lord, gave charge to one man called Saint Peter, that he should be Lord and superior of all men in the world, and that all should obey him, and that he should be the head of the whole human race. Remember, we talked human rights a minute ago now. Remember, wherever men should live, and under whatever law, sect, or belief they should be, and he gave him the world for his kingdom and jurisdiction. Kind of correlates with how people are being subjugated later on with the independence, and right. But let's go back to 1510 with these people coming in, and they're doing this before they did it here. That's why I wanted this one to be in the Americas. And in part two of the Aboriginal story of America, I ended with certain people. I'm gonna highlight them again because he's gonna walk us into the library's hands to give you the nice little walk down of certain things. Of all these nations, God or Lord gave charge to one man. Remember now, that paragraph right there, let it soak on you. Slide down, God. Now, you can keep, matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to read this right here. That's why I want it. And he commanded him to place his seat in Rome as the spot most fitting to rule the world from. But also, he permitted him to have his seat in any other part of the world and to judge and govern all Christians, Moors, Muslims, Jews, Gentiles, and all other sects. This man was called Pope, as if to say, Admiral, great father and governor of men. The men who lived in that time obeyed that Saint Peter and took him for Lord, King, and Superior of the universe. So also they have regarded the others who after him have been elected to the pontificate. That's the Pope, by the way. So every Pope from the time of Saint Peter is aligned in this position seat when they take on the position of Pope. And the kings and queens of these said kingdoms who align themselves in allyship with the Pope are definitely in a different light than the others that are not, because they make it seem like everybody's just doing the same damn thing with the Pope. And obviously that's not the case. So all that's right there though. They say to the end of the world. So I don't know, because I don't, the world, I don't know, I ain't going to probably be here when it ends. I know that. But when mine's in, I guess that's going to be somebody else's opinion because I don't see him that way. But, hey, shout out to him, though. He doing what he do because obviously he got elected. Like how people, beefing about Trump and Biden, right? Being elected to a seat that is tied to St. Peter with a chief of commander doing the kind of same position of the jurisdiction of a group of people that's in America that are in second-class positions and it hasn't been restored back yet. But y'all vote for, let's say, vote for governor of your state and in the federal situation, the chief of commander seat, and haven't been recognized in a certain humanity way yet. You slide down, God. And this right there, we're going to end right here. This is where I end at on this paragraph for this link. As one of these pontiffs, popes, who succeeded that Saint Peter as Lord of the world in the dignity and seat which I have before mentioned, made donation to these isles and terra firma. That's like saying earth, to the aforesaid king and queen, and to their successors, our lords, with all that there are in these territories, and is contained in certain writings which passed upon the subject as foresaid, which you can see if you wish. That terra firma, like terra, like earth. Um, People really got to understand what was going on in this 1500s and how it spread to what they call the West Indies, and obviously that is a Roman term, but dealing with territorial things like this requiremento that we're reading to you right now. So now we in the Americas, right? So first two groups it says in this link is Portugal and Spain. Um, in 1493, when it said they split up, because just to give you a little sidebar of this, Spain, meaning Castile and Aragon, those two people that were mentioned, and his daughter and who he married and all, they had issues with Portugal. They were fighting, and to keep it simple, they had the Pope, because they both acknowledged the Pope, Rome, to be in this position. So they got, what's the word for it? Counseling. They were fighting. I'm call it counseling, right? And then there was a treaty made called the Treaty of Tordesillas. Did I say it right this time? Tordesillas? I got closer. Tordesillas? Tordesillas. Tordesillas. That's the best I'm gonna get. All right, so that treaty though of 1494 split up what they call the New World, the West Indies, and areas that were outside of the European territories of what we know today as Spain and Portugal's obviously homeland. Obviously, Portugal was already in West Africa, just to give you that real quick sidebar. And the only thing that really truly made an interest for tied to that treaty was Brazil. So Spain, though, they like, well, we're going to take all that from the islands on what we call today the Floridas, east to west, because it was their explorers underneath their charted situations tied to this requiremento that is leading them to make their expeditions into North, South, and Central Americas. That's factual situation now. God, you can move to the next joint. I'm ready. This is all in context. The Milwaukee, when I say Aboriginal, I meant from the original script of really what we can cover that we feel like they might not just give us in their form of the story. You know what I'm talking about? So St. Augustine, and obviously at this time, when we showed you last on part 2 of that the persons at that time, Spain and Portugal, are not calling anybody that they have in West Africa African Americans. This is not happening. The term is Marano, Morisco, Lacondo, Lasando. You know what I'm talking about? Like, these are the terms at this time. You know what I mean? Negro would be like you at the lowest level of some slavery shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just derogatory, but there's other terms, you know what I mean, that we could go into, right? So obviously, the institution of slavery in Spain was different from that of the European nations. You got to think, because you got to think about France. They definitely did it different, right? But Spanish slave laws granted enslaved people certain rights and protections were derived from the ancient Roman traditions and had been incorporated into the Castilian code of the law known as the, what's that say, Siete Paradis in the 13th century. That's it. Siete Partitas. I'm getting better with that bit. Siete, I know siete means seven, and you say sections, like partitions, like it's like partitions. Translation English, right? In the 13th century, these laws were not based on race. Remember, because the Supreme Court already done passed something saying that you cannot be repaired based off of race. I don't know if anybody had caught that out there yet. You know what I mean? That's what's going on. But that's a Supreme Court. Don't get mad at me. All right. So when we think about after that, when it says, and Africans joined slaves of other races and ethnicities who had been captured in just wars. It says just wars. Interesting, right? Been condemned or had sold themselves into slavery. The siete partitas held that slavery was an unnatural condition, for God had created man free, and it established ways to which enslaved people could become free. I guess they never told us that part, huh? But yeah, that's the. So when even though they had the requiremento and they put their restrictions and codes and stuff out there like that, you know what I'm saying? When they came to the Americas, all right, they're dealing with even before as the 13th century. And so when they came over, these different provisions that they're making for when they did the requiremento over here, that's why I want you to see how they came over here. Because right after that, it's sitting there. I'm skipping to the third paragraph where it says, as Spaniards conquered and colonized the Americas, which would mean after the requiremento of 1510. Remember now, we've mentioned it before, just in case, the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Inca. And it wasn't until after that requiremento was passed in 1510 that the two empires, specifically Inca and the Aztec, come to fall, which is like the 1520s, roundabout, right? So moving forward, they were charged with a dual purpose to bring wealth to the Spanish crown and to bring souls to the Catholic Church. They established mission systems across the lands they claimed, Christianizing the Native Americans, Aboriginals, and in creating an extensive network of farms and information gathering sources. In the process, Africans both free. See how they didn't start with enslaved first. They said Africans, both free and enslaved, were part of the Spanish armed forces, both in Europe and in their expeditions across the Atlantic. They're being specific when they say African in this situation. They're talking about people that are tied to West Africa that are mixing in, but obviously the people that we just read about with the requiremento, Spain, really Portugal. Portugal has been in West Africa from like early to 1400s. You feel me, guy? That's who's down there mixing with these people in the trade system before 1492 made it a slave trade system. You know what I mean? It's already a trade system. See what I'm saying? The Mali and the Songhai Empire, they already traded. It's an empire. West Africa. But see, people skip that. I guess they just say this is some people in West Africa, some pale skinned folk went and picked up, tied to Spain and Portugal, right? But if you read everything about Portugal, boy, they very swarthy and got a whole lot of stuff going on. That's why they had to pass the Papal Bull of 1452, the dumb diverses. But like again, I ain't trying to go that far back. We in the Americas, right? Slide down, guys. I just wanted to, I'm giving you a little ad business. We get to it now. Because the librarian, he gonna get straight to the point. He ain't gonna waste no time. But this is source we showed to the part two. And I wanted to just bring it back because I want to bring up, buddy. You can make it a little bit bigger. Oh Lord. Because now, in this source, though, it's 1565. And we brought up the dude, and I said in the part two, Pedro Menendez de Aviles established St. Augustine in 1565. Now, St. Augustine, the oldest town in North America, tied to the term also, a religious term, I would say, Nombre de Dios. And don't forget the Almacaris. Shout out to my estimates. But what you have to know, going back to 1510, the requiremento, that there's a town in what we call Panama. Well, Panama would be South America, right? Not Central, right? Panama would be South America. I would propose in my mind, thinking right now. Don't get me mad, don't bite off my head. But 1510 Panama, the same name is applied. I'm being redundant about this, but it has to be stamped in your head like an act. 1510 requirement to the same. The oldest place in Panama is it connects Central and South are together. So Panama though is the a settlement also with the name Nombre de Dios. Yeah, right there in Panama. 55 years before 1565. In Florida, the Floridays going into 1565 in this time frame. Free and enslaved folk, they would say, are connected to what they call the area of West Africa, North Africa, are coming here. And they're not all in enslaved positions though. But this gonna get you to a part, and when he goes into we're gonna come back and forth with this. This is when the English officially arrived next fall to claim them. Governor Quino refused to release them on the ground that they had been converted to Catholicism. See, this was a religious thing more than a lot of things. I know I just skipped that paragraph where it says 1687, but I'm letting you know that's the fugitive slave policy right there in that Florida area. King Charles II. We showed what become as the Articles of Peace. Shout out to Monte when we did that joint just last time he was with us. And the Articles of Peace typed it. King Charles II. And there's a group of indigenous people in Virginia, kings and queens, is Treaty of Middle Plantation, right, that are allied with King Charles II. Not all the folk, though, because of what's going on prior to King James setting up what we call the beginning of the 13 colonies, do we get the understanding that what we call English, British, or Scottish folk are over here with a settlement in this time frame of the 15th, 16th century. So Spain is really, God laid their hands on all this area we call Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Mexico, the whole Gulf of Mexico. The expeditions went from the Atlantic across, right? Spain. All this was Florida territory until certain British and French came intruding those areas, right? So I want to make sure, slide down a little bit more, guys. I'm trying to get to do Menendez, but anybody forget free Black Town, so that means they couldn't be slaves. But there was restrictions for Mose. It's the dude right here, Francisco Mendez. If y'all remember him from part 2, what I'm saying? That's why I'm doing this, because that's tied to the Inquisition, and we kind of extending to do this walk. I had to make sure that was in there, because some of this stuff get kind of taken out. Social position, see? Thank you, guys. You went right to it. While slavery in the Spanish colonies was considered an accident of late rather than a perpetual or preordained condition, the Spanish slave code and the social practice made it possible for a significant free Black class to exist in both Spain and the New World. Blacks were not free from the racial prejudice. When the Moors, who had ruled Spain for 7 centuries, were driven out in 1492, those who remained were relegated to the bottom of the social status. This was to remain the norm for centuries. Although a person could climb the social ladder through marriage, accumulation of wealth, military service, or the sponsorship of a person of higher status. Although the majority of the Africans married other African descent, a number of them married white Europeans, Native Americans, and mixed blood spouses. And a multiracial and multi-ethnic society developed throughout the Americas and the Caribbean. The Spanish developed a highly organized system for identifying the precise genetic heritage of an individual. Full blood Africans. See, so when these sources be showing you African American, they're using more of a modern day way of trying to describe what they call Black, but it doesn't give you the details of the lineage by using that, right? These umbrella terms. But their umbrella term for a full-blood African were known as Morenos. I like Morano. with the A. But it says people of mixed African, European, Indian ancestry were known as castas. That's also like the nice way of saying nigger, negra, or negro, with a nomenclature depending on their heritage. For example, if a Spaniard married a Morena woman, their children would be mulattoes. If a mulatto married a Spaniard, their children would be known as Moriscos. By the way, I was talking to somebody earlier about this. Creole is tied to the Portuguese in West Africa. That means that the Creole not only is as popularly is known for France, you know what I mean? French, mostly Creole in Jamaica, they say patois, right? But the Portuguese have a Creole too. It's obviously made it into the New World with this system. Spain as well. Latin, we say Ladino in Portuguese, I guess, right? But however, with the D instead of the T. What you think, God? How does it sound to you so far? I'm not tripping. Because it's a timeline. We walking. We in the Americas. Remember, Spain is in the Americas, North America. There is no Carolinas yet. There is no Alabama yet. There's the Alabama. You feel me, God? But there's no state called or colony called Alabama yet. That all this is East and West Floridas. So you got to understand how that works with the European colonies that's coming to the Americas, North, South, and Central. You can keep it moving, though. I wanted to show that one part, really, from that part two that was in the social position, you know what I mean, and terms they were using in the North Americas at the time when Spain and Portugal first came over here with free and enslaved folk that would be labeled in that caste system they got. That's the loose. Shout out to my Maroons outside. All my indigenous individuals out there tapping in. Slide down real quick, guys. Get the library do a little credit, though. I want to make sure I like how he kind of he's very get to it real quick. So slide up a little bit. Does it show his name though? Oh, there it is. Jeffrey. I want to make sure everybody see his name. Jeffrey, the librarian. Let's go ahead and give him a little bit of that. We're gonna stop in between, but we're gonna he getting us to the 1700s. There's some things I want him to do because he did it fast. So go ahead, guys. We're gonna stop in between. Tap in, y'all.
In Canada from 1565 to 1700. Spain has been colonizing the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, and Latin America since 1492. Colonization north of Mexico in what is now the United States and Canada began 73 years later. Let's zoom into the future United States and Canada. The Native American language and cultural groups along the Atlantic Ocean from north to south are Algonquin, which includes many nations that extend from Maine and northeastern Canada down the coast to the Carolinas. Siouan language speakers are, very interestingly, present in the area of the Carolinas, so there is a linguistic connection between some of these nations here in the south and the Plains people. Below them, in present-day Georgia and Florida, are the Muskogean family of nations, and in the Great Lakes region are the Iroquoian nations. The Pueblo are in the southwest, and it's
Now, I don't want nobody to get in the hissy fit because you know the librarian ain't gonna get into all the details of everything, right? But all right, now it's the East Coast. Now, Muskogee, they don't come in until after because the Hittite language would really be more the pure language in the southeast. But the Muskogee, because of certain things taking place, becomes a very prominent language. This word muskie. Muskie is like the term mulatto within that same caste system that they're talking about with these mixtures of free and enslaved people and their indigenous people of the southeast. Muskogean language was like a Creole, a pidgin, when you really look at and go understand that it's a Ladino-based term. You know what I'm talking about? And that word G is for people. So the Muskogee, the mixed people. Shout out to all my Muskogees outside. But obviously the Algonquin, when we showed you in the Barry Fell's book, American BC, you can go see that the Iroquois and the Algonquin, they say so have some influence with some people of the Basque. You know what I'm saying? Aboriginally speaking, in their pidgin language, it influences the terms called Algonquin and Iroquois. I don't know if anybody else has seen that out there. If you have, put it in the chat. If I'm the only one that has it, if I'm missing, I'm tripping, let me know. But let's keep it moving. Go ahead.
It's important to remember that the Spanish will be coming up from Mexico to the southwest. Spanish colonies will be shown in yellow, English colonies in red, French colonies in blue, and Dutch colonies in orange. The date and the monarch of England will be shown in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's begin in 1565. Queen Elizabeth I is the monarch in England. The first successful European foothold above Mexico is the Spanish colony of St. Augustine, founded in modern Florida in 1565. 1585, Sir Walter Raleigh founds the first English colony in North America at Roanoke Island in future North Carolina. The colony dissolves the next year. 1587, a second colony is established at Roanoke Island under John White. The first English child born in North America is Virginia Dare. We will zoom out for a critical world event that affects North America's colonies. In 1588, the Spanish Armada, dispatched from Spain for the purpose of invading England, is largely destroyed by a combination of the English fleet and harsh weather. The demise of the Armada means that Spain is no longer the most powerful nation in the world, and the Armada's ruin provides England, France, and the Netherlands with opportunities to colonize North America. 1590, John White of Roanoke Colony returns to the colony from England with fresh supplies. However, he finds the colony totally abandoned with only the word Croatoan scrawled on wood, a reference to a local native tribe. We will move back into North America and move into a new century. In 1606, King James I, the same King James who authorized the English Bible bearing his patronage, granted a charter to the Virginia.
Now you already know. See, you messed up. See, and Lee Cummings, he gonna snap. If Lee Cummings here, he'd be like, no. King James is the sixth of Scotland, and now becomes the first of England. You know what I'm talking about? Because England does have a history of their kings prior to King James being the first of these united of Scotland and England. So they sometimes skip that, right? Because them swarthy folk we've been reading about, tied to the Stuarts and different people of King James lineage going back, 6 generations of kingship. It's obviously going to walk us 1565. That means the Stuarts had their own nobility system in Scotland, separation from King James in that time frame of when he becomes king. Go ahead, guy.
Company and the Plymouth Company to establish English colonies in North America. In December of 1606, Captain John Smith is one of about 100 colonists who sail on the ships Susan Constant, the Discovery, and the Godspeed. In spring of 1607, the ships are off the coast of Virginia. The ships sail up a river, which the crew names after King James, and they found Jamestown. It is important to remember that when Jamestown was founded in 1607, Spanish St. Augustine has been in operation for 42 years.
All right, now let's head down to the lot where Tom Brady is trying to.
So, while we're going to work that out, little different parts of this, so real quick, because, at commercials, he got to get his in, but we don't want to mess y'all up with that. So when it comes to, you can exit out that thing on top of that. I'm going to give you a quick little clip, because as he walks through it, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let him walk through the whole thing. You ready? All right, let's go ahead.
English colony set out for North America in 1607 from the Plymouth Company. This second venture landed much farther north in modern-day Maine, at the mouth of the Kennebec River at Sagadahoc. This far north colony does not last, and the settlers return to England. In 1809, yet another European power is now in play in North America. The Dutch are on the stage in
Saga. So what is a saga? The hawk. Anybody can while you're with me, right? We can do it like this. We can do it just like this, right? So on this saga part, there's a group of chiefs tied to the same Algonquin Iroquois area, and they're also known as Sagamores. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that before. That term, Sagamore. You know what I mean? For the chiefs that were up in that area. And also that saga that stood out. And sometimes that's part of their chiefdom terms for the people that's Aboriginal in that area, that they use the word saga more. You know what I mean, as well, along with saga dahok. But they're not the same as, people confuse them with the Moorish thing, but the saga more term is tied to those people and their chiefdoms. Go ahead.
and the settlers return to England. Samuel de Champlain of France has a fort erected at Quebec the next year, 1608. In 1609, yet another European power is now in play in North America. The Dutch are on the stage in future New York State. Henry Hudson explores the river that bears his name. In the same region, the French explorer Samuel de Champlain furthers French interests in the Northeast, charting the lake in New York State that bears his name. We often focus on the Atlantic coast, but it's important to remember that colonization is occurring in the American West as well. In 1610, the Spanish settle Santa Fe in future New Mexico among the ancient civilization of the Pueblo. All at once, four powers are suddenly active in North America. The English have Jamestown in 1607, the French Quebec in 1608, the Dutch on the Hudson River in 1609, and the Spanish at Santa Fe in 1610. But Jamestown is in danger in 1610. The colony is starving. Pocahontas provides food assistance to Jamestown's starving colonists. The Baron de la Warre.
See, I know people don't like this pictures, other pictures of her being darker, right, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But they're just giving you the person, so if you know who it is, just follow that way. You know what I'm talking about? I want to make sure I put that disclaimer out there because people get triggered. You know what I'm saying about what they be showing. Gotta let the man go from his standpoint. We're letting him walk. Go ahead, God.
Arrives with more ships and settlers, and the colony gets a second life. 1613, John Rolfe cultivates West Indian or Caribbean tobacco at Jamestown. This begins the first profitable venture in English North America and establishes tobacco as a cash crop. 1619 is a critical year at Jamestown.
The Cape Cod joint, the next one you was about to show. The first one online, because it's going to go right into that area. See, in between Jamestown and Quebec, right? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? The Plymouths, the Quakers, and all them, they coming in between that area right there. All that area, you know what I'm saying? That we also talked about part two with Netherlands, and we talked about it with Lee Cummins too. With that area, but prior to the 13 colonies, or the people properly know this area, the 8 or the lower proprietors that were able to come over off this area and settle between that areas. You see Quebec and Jamestown, which is going to be off this coast amongst the Iroquois and Algonquin, as he's showing it, the Aboriginal folk that's already there. So In this situation, the people that's in that area before the third, what we call the British, right? To be Pacific, which would be Scotland, Ireland, England, Wales, etc. They all fall underneath that jurisdiction, subject to that sovereign king. And that area up there, closer to where it says Quebec, right there, that's going to be closer to what we call the Netherlands. And then on the outer area where you see the ocean kind of change colors, and it's on like where, like all the little small little joints connected to the mainland up there by Quebec, but closer to the Atlantic. That's like the Labrador area. That's also tied to, funny enough, the Portuguese situation. So that whole area right there before the 13 colonies, some people already got. You can show them that clip before we. So this right here comes into play. So as you see, he's in 16:9. So I want you, because he walked, you can move fast. I want to make sure you catch these little clips I got in between, right? Because I let him walk right to us, so I get to my point. From 1623 to 1640, colonists of black ancestry arrived in Plymouth colony. How they came to Plymouth is still a mystery. Some clacks may have have come from Virginia or from the English colonies in the Caribbean, although they did not have full equal rights with the English pilgrims. They were accepted as members of the Plymouth community. Black pilgrims served in the Plymouth militia by the 1640s. The white English pilgrims trusted the black pilgrims enough to arm them with guns and weapons. These pilgrims of black heritage would have been given military training, including best usage of their weapons and marching and information. The integrated Plymouth Pilgrim militia included English, you see they're using that word right there. I just told you them people ain't being called that at that time. But they say African Americans and Native Americans. The Pilgrims, so listen to that again. The integrated Plymouth Pilgrim militia included basically what? Europeans, Africans, and Indians. You know what I'm talking about? So all three of them are involved in Plymouth situations at that time. Now, the Pilgrims in the 17th century, Plymouth accepted the concept that blacks had God-given rights. One of these was their right to attend the Pilgrim Congregational Church. People of black heritage had the right to learn the Pilgrim Bible. Pilgrims taught their children to read in order to understand the teachings in the Bible. This was an accepted method of education for all colonists. All pilgrims of black heritage would have been included, even freemen, blacks who were indentured servants, and those who were slaves. They gave all different categories, ain't it, God? From the slave to the indentured to the freeman. You know what I'm talking about? If you in the colony, you was a Plymouth or you was a pilgrim, considered black at that time in that territory, you were given that opportunity, as they're saying here, Cape Cod times. This is Cape Cod, where that cod come from up there in the northeast area. I love cod, by the way. Fish sandwich wise, you know how to go. You want to slide down a little bit more? Is there anything else I want to give them before we get back to the clip? Because people might not know that, pilgrims, like Thanksgiving, there's black people involved. They ain't just slaves, as you see. But anyways, revisionist historians will debate why, if the pilgrim believed that blacks had God-given rights, they and the Native Americans were placed in the back of the church. You see that I said that they were together. The Native and the black were together, placed in the back of the church, like the back of the bus. Yeah. To understand this, we must understand how England, the pilgrims, country of origin, was structured. You know what I'm talking about? So obviously English society was structured based on one's status at birth. English men born into English royalty were given the highest social status, followed by a wealthy Englishman, the growing merchant middle class, and finally by peasants, commoners. Native Americans were labeled as savages by the English, while blacks were forced into slavery in the English Caribbean colonies. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. See the time frame. They gave you like 1660s, right? 1640s in this source. All right, time frames to make sure you get a timeline. Yeah, 1640s. He started. That's where he started at. So this is that same timeline we're about to go into that he's gonna talk about. So we can go back to Homeboy though. I wanted just to put that in, and then just give a connection that there's people up in that area right now between that northeast area, right underneath Quebec. There are pilgrims, swarthy looking ones, dark skin, black label pilgrims. Go ahead, God.
Two contrasting institutions are born that year. One institution is the House of Burgesses, which is the beginnings of representative government in North America. This is contrasted by the first shipment of slaves to Jamestown in that same year. Thus, the American South's contrasting traditions of representative government and slave labor are born in the same year. Another English venture begins in 1620. The Mayflower set sail with pilgrim separatists and strangers. Strangers are Mayflower colonists that are not a part of the separatist religious movement. The Mayflower separatists are actually distinct from other Puritans. The Pilgrim separatists on the Mayflower want a full separation from the Church of England, whereas other Puritans want to purify or reform the Church of England. So there is a distinction between radical separatist pilgrims and Puritans.
Picture this, saving up to 10% when you bundle.
We're going to fast forward, give it a second. But yeah, like as he's talking about, like I say, you see this brought up the pilgrims. So I'll be right on time. I had a clip placed in place for this right here. You know what I'm saying? And this is where this comes in. You feel me, God? See that source right there? You flashing right there in their face while you move forward? It's up. Shout out to my man Fred, and shout out to my man Amos, who's gonna be with us Tuesday. Everything work out the way it's supposed to. He mentioned the book, but Fred originally gave me the book. And shout out to Crypto Fred. You know what I mean? It's a good book. You know what I mean? We're gonna read a little bit from it. That's probably tied to this joint. So go ahead, God.
The Mayflower lands at Cape Cod. Plymouth is founded there in the future state of Massachusetts, a name derived from a local native nation. The Wampanoag are there at Cape Cod. The Mayflower Compact is signed on board the ship, a very early governmental document in the future United States. 1622. The Powhatan Confederacy attacks Jamestown, and the colony's future is again uncertain. King James wants more direct control over Jamestown. In 1624, the Dutch established Fort Orange at present-day Albany, New York. 1626, the Dutch West India Company establishes New Amsterdam on Manhattan Island. The Lenape and other Algonquian natives are present there. 1630, King Charles I grants John Winthrop a charter for the Massachusetts Bay Colony. 1,000 Puritans.
Now, I told you my disclaimer because, we've been doing the Negro questions. And this is what's been in question. That these people that they're showing us are swarthy individuals. It is not because they got brunette hair. I'm talking about from the descriptions of the time frame of the immigration of these people coming in as colonists tied to the British, Scottish steward, as Charles would be. Right, God? He would be a steward, right? So the question tied to even the Negro in the position, as we read in that class system, if you was nobility though, right? You at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? As we read in that joint. That's why I read it like that. You see what I'm saying? But there's people that's coming over as commoners too. They peasants. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's white and black coming. See, we never said that it wasn't white and black people tied to coming over here. We just, I think that the problem is later on that all the people were labeled just Africans. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know their migrations of how they came and where they coming from, with who. You know what I'm talking about? So this is, but either way, my disclaimer is, the question is that what they're presenting to us in this painting at the time frame of whoever painted it, was that really the description of the person at the time when he was living? Go ahead, guy.
Including women and children, sail for Massachusetts. Boston is founded. This settlement is much larger than other English settlements thus far. Because Massachusetts Bay Colony brings significant numbers of women and children, Boston and the surrounding area will have explosive growth rates. In 1634, Lord Baltimore establishes St. Mary's in Maryland, the first English Catholic community in the Americas. Lord Baltimore argues for the free exercise of religion for both Protestants and Catholics. 1635, the Puritans established the Boston Latin School, the oldest public school still in use in the United States. A critical element that the Massachusetts Bay Colony brings to America is an expectation that all members of society, both boys and girls, are expected to read the Bible. Harvard is found.
Yeah, he ready to go into Harvard, and I'm gonna read from this book right here. I mean, it's the book for the day that I like to implement into this. Jews and Muslims in Colonial America by Elizabeth Caldwell Hirschman and Donald N. Yates. Boy, that boy Yates be writing some shit. You know what I'm talking about, y'all? I'm trying to tell you, as an author, he be covering all this shit. Her too. I ain't gonna sleep on the lady now. You know what I mean? Elizabeth, she be getting her hands in some shit. But you can make it a little bit bigger. The preface, can it be made bigger? That's small. Ooh, that was small. Yeah, there we go. That's better. All right. I'm gonna work this out for y'all. This is love, right? See how small that is? Appreciate you, guys. For most Americans, the story of their nation's origins seems safe, reliable, and comforting. We were taught from elementary school that the United States was created by a group of brave white Christians drawn largely from England who ventured to these shores in search of religious freedom and the opportunity to fulfill their own destiny. Recent revisions to the idolized dialectical narrative have been seriously questioned its basic tenets. So although we now recognize some of the contributions made by Africans to America's success and feel perhaps a heightened sense of regret, remorse, and even guilt over the destruction of American native cultures, we never have had much reason to doubt the basic premise of the story. Our founding mothers and fathers were white, Christian, and British. In this work, we present a series of colonial documents contemporary. When you jump, I lost my spot. That's how my eyes work. See, hold on. See, bear with me, y'all. Do you know where I was at? Oh, it's moving. Were you got the cursor on the screen? Okay, yeah, there it is. Thank you, brother. Thank you. See, I was phone. I'm trying to tell you. First-hand accounts, contemporary first-hand accounts, records, portraits, family genealogies, and ethnic DNA test results, which fundamentally challenge the national storyline depicting the America's first settlers as white, British, and Christian. We postulate that many of the initial colonists were of Sephardic, Jewish, and Muslim Moorish ancestry, usually arriving as crypto-Jews with their religious adherents disguised, and crypto-Muslims. These immigrants served as prominent economic, political, financial, and social positions in all of their original colonies. You know what I'm saying? And it says, the evidence in support of this radical new narrative begins with an examination of the British colonial companies organized in England to bring settlers to North America and exploit the natural riches believed to be there. You can bring it up. Of course, both Spain and France had already made forays into North America, founding St. Augustine and exploring parts of the coastline as far north as Newfoundland through their activities as foreign powers are given short shift in our Anglo-centric version of the birth of America. What is even less frequently mentioned regarding the Spanish and French settlements and voyages is that many of the colonists and sailors were of Sephardic, Jewish, and Muslim Moorish descent. Several of those aboard Christopher Columbus' first voyage in 1492, and famously even Columbus Colon himself, were of Jewish ancestry. They were Jews or crypto Jews, Moranos, Morenos, Moriscos. Um, One historian of the Inquisitional Spain, slide down, y'all, and the biographer of Christopher Columbus, Simon uh, Weisen, Weisenthal, that's how I'm going to say it, notes that throughout the 16th century, the movement of the Moranos to the New World had continued, and that after the expulsion of the Jews and the flight of the Morano element, it was the turn of the Morisco to serve as scapegoats for all the ills of society. The same writer estimates that all told, Spain lost 1.5 million people. That's a lot of goddamn people, boy. All them people being now labeled Africans, God, Negroes. Slide down, God. I wonder if all them people being, I mean, they could be Catholics, you know what I'm saying? Christians, right? Pilgrims, Quakers, right? And physicians. But however, I don't know, is that the right place? As a consequence, is where I'm supposed to start at? As a consequence of the purification of its population of Jews and Moors, many occupations, were virtually abandoned, he writes. Trade, the crafts, and the sciences languished. Moreover, since these branches of endeavor had been the domain of Jews and Moriscos, they had become in themselves suspect. Spaniards had to be extremely careful about entering any of these fields. Spanish life as a whole was the worst of these injustices. Spain was swamped with fortune hunters from all ports of Europe. Like, what's his name? What's the dog name, boy? Francis Drake. He one of the prominent folk dealing with Moranos and natives raiding that same place in Panama. You ever got in Castoril with the gold and silver? As he's talking about in here, by the way. Just a little side note. Ad lib, you know what I'm talking about? And it says, but they could never revive the Spanish economy. Just as the irrigation canals dug by the Moors in Andalusia, Vandals, were allowed to silt up, silt. That be these words they be using. They should be. Anyways. So they, so the very channels on which the country's health depended fell into neglect. We document that Spain's loss was Britain's gain, beginning with the initial planning, organization, and promotion of the first British colonial efforts. Sephardic Jews and Muslim Moors were present as navigators, ship captains, sailors, metallurgists. I had to practice that word a couple times when I that word right there. Metallurgists, cartographers, finances, and colonists. Among these, we find Joachim Gans, Simon Fernando, Walter Raleigh, John Hawkins, Humphrey Gilbert, Richard Helicourt Sr. and Jr., Francis Drake, I told y'all, Martin Frobisher, and Abraham Ortelius. And then I'm going to read this and I'm going to let y'all go back to the homeboy, the librarian, and let him talk to you a little bit. And it's the first and second British colonies in North America, Virginia and Massachusetts, were provisions funded and peopled by persons of Sephardic, Jewish, and Muslim Moorish descent. Current genetic genealogy studies of the Appalachian descendants of these early colonists demonstrate that they carried DNA haplotypes. I don't get involved in all that, but it says male or female lineages and genes from Sephardic, Ottoman, or North African founders. Further, these early North American colonists often bore straightforwardly Jewish and Muslim surnames, attested at the Alif, Swazizan, Moses, Bagswell, uh, Hagara, what that word is, Okasan, and even Saladin. These are interesting terms of surnames, by the way. I ain't got none of them in my. Anyways, indeed, given the patently non-Christian backgrounds of so many settlers up and down the Atlantic coastline of the American colonies, it becomes difficult to ignore the significant declarations of religious tolerance inscribed in the U.S. Constitution. I'm gonna keep it moving. Go ahead, guys. Just want to make sure you got that part. Now, I might come back to it. This book right here, though, Jews and Muslims in the Colonial America. The name right there, just in case we don't get back to it, but definitely tap into it. Let's go, guys. Move, slide.
Founded the next year in 1636, just 6 years after the Massachusetts Bay settlers first arrived. Puritan New England will be among the most literate societies on the planet in the 17th century. Also in 1636, the scholar Roger Williams founds Providence in Rhode Island. Williams becomes fluent in Algonquian while living among the Narragansett natives there. 1637 is a tragic year for the Pequot people. New Englanders massacre the Pequot at Fort Mystic in Connecticut. Concurrently in Boston, Anne Hutchinson gains fame as a reformer who questions the power of clergy in her Puritan community. She and her followers leave Boston for Rhode Island in 1638. Anne is very popular, and many Puritan men held her opinion in high regard and listened to her opinions. A common theme in New England settlement is that excommunicants will bring followers to a new area and found a new community. New Haven, Connecticut is founded the same year. Also in 1638, Swedish colonists found Fort Christina near modern-day Wilmington, Delaware. In 1642, back across the Atlantic, England falls into civil war between Parliament and the Crown. The English colonies developed more autonomy due to the disorder in England. Also in 1642, a French mission is founded at Montreal. 1647, Massachusetts Bay Colony passes the first compulsory education law in the future United States, and Puritan literacy is essentially universal among both boys and girls. In 1649, King Charles I is assassinated, and Parliament's victory over the Crown will result in an England that has no king for 11 years. The English Civil War and the ensuing internal conflict in England means that the English colonies in America are becoming very accustomed to local rule. Also in 1649, the General Assembly of Maryland grants an act concerning religion, or the Act of Religious Toleration, which grants freedom of religion for all Trinitarian churches. 1655, the Dutch assume control of struggling New Sweden in modern Delaware. 1659, Spanish Franciscans establish a mission at El Paso in modern-day Texas. Charles II restores the monarchy in 1660, marking an end to Cromwell's protectorate.
Braden has...
So that's where King Charles II and Jacobites come into play. I got this time frame. I got to move fast because of timing, right? But when you get to Charles II, again, they showing their pictures. We got ours. You hear me? We got their peer review sources that we read, Child to Lead. You know what I mean? Of what we're being described as. However, the Charles II guy they got here, they got a statue. The nose and shit broken off. He's the one dealing with the Articles of Peace in Virginia at this time too. That is the word certain tribes are deeding their land to be underneath the protection of what we call the 13 colonies at this time. I didn't say all, because obviously William Penn got his situations too, with groups of other tribes that's in that area too. So everybody's not doing it again. In Muskogee, as they showed on that map, when he went to that little walk, that's southeast area. They're not involved with those things like that at that time on that level. And we ain't gonna probably get to their script. We might do a part two to this walk, but I'm gonna make sure we get to the independence part. So I want to just remember, y'all seen that, shout out to Lee Cummins Negro Question series that's kind of making with the Negro question about what Swarthy and black and colored and all that good stuff means, really, in the manner of the people. But this is what they're depicting them, right? But we got other shit saying something different. Obviously, the surnames and descriptions and stuff. So we can keep it moving. We can go to the next source. I just want to leave that there. So now, as we walk, I got to get you to some places. You know what I'm saying? The librarian will be back with us type shit. So, you know what I mean? 'Cause I like some of the things and it makes it easy for us to do a little timeline with y'all with this. Although the War of Jenkins' Ear remains a minor episode in early American history, I want to make sure you see this war right here. It's very important to, I think, what probably might be mentioned. You know what I'm talking about? The War of Jenkins' Ear, though, so it kind of skips. We jumping. I'm against because I don't want to leave out. So I wanted that King Charles part to stay there in your fragment on that timeline right there. Now we get into so we can get to 1775 and something that needs to be pointed out. But this war right here, when things started to split up between what was going on with Spain and King Charles and them, and before I would say the Stuarts lose the seat. You see what I got? Because when they say Charles II, no matter if they want to depict him black or white, as people like to call it, like Michael Jackson would say, it don't matter, right? But in the position of King Charles' position, they're Stuarts. They're fighting against the Hanovers. But now, in this time frame where it gets to like 1739, it's definitely the Georges, right? Yeah. So now there's different people on the throne dealing with the 13 colonies. It's a switch taking place. Benjamin Franklin does talk about it, you know what I mean, a couple of years after, right? Down the line. But still, the War of Jenkins' Ear remains a minor episode. It's a minor, right? In the early American history, it has much significance for colonial Georgia. The conflict between Spanish and English over the land between South Carolina and Florida lasted for nearly 2 centuries. How long was that, guy? 2 centuries? About 20 years? 200 years? That's a long 2 centuries. That's a long ass time, huh? I was trying to under 2 decades and shit. No, but 2 centuries now. 2 centuries taking us back to what though? And from this time frame, 1539, round about, right? Okay. Yeah. So when we was reading earlier about how it said that Spain always had English people like Francis Drake and all them different people coming into their territories and doing shit, right? That's what that shows you right now when they say, you know what I mean? Because there's people always in conflict over Spain's territories that they got ceded to them based off the Papal Bull and all that shit from, you know what I mean? 1494, right? But it didn't last that long, and we get to almost like the 16th century because 1539 will be the 16th century, right? I know I'll be messing that up. Yeah. All right. So from the 16th century to the 18th century is basically 2 centuries, right? All right. So 1739 is 18th century. Just make sure everybody's with me too. All right. So that. So as it says, but once formal hostilities began in 1739, only 6 years after Georgia's founding, the survival of the colony hung in the balance. Georgia was eventually preserved as an English colony. But for a time, the colony's success seemed dim hope. Slide down. Causes of the war centered on disputed land claims, but the conflict was not limited to land. Shipping on the high seas also suffered frequent interruption from acts of piracy by both sides. One particular incident gave the confrontation its name. The Spanish privateer served British Captain Robert Jenkins' ear in 1731 as punishment for raiding Spanish ships, and Jenkins presented the ear to Parliament, and the outraged English public demanded retribution. Throughout the 1730s, diplomatic attempts between England and Spain occurred in Europe and Americas, but they only served to increase the animosity that led to war in the late 1739. General James Oglethorpe made several passes into Florida in January 1740 and seized two Spanish forts, Fort Picolata and Fort San Francisco de Pupo, west of St. Augustine, Florida, along the St. Johns River. He began a strike against the fort of St. Augustine in May 1740, but the campaign was a failure. Oglethorpe wanted to seize the fort before Spanish supplies or reinforcements could arrive, but the problems with multiple commanders and diverse forces resulted in a disorganization, spoiling his advantage of surprise. Oglethorpe settled for a traditional siege of the fort, but failed to coordinate his land and naval forces. By early July, he discontinued the attack, retreated to Fort Frederica, and waited for a Spanish invasion. Now, all that to say, we're going to slide down. I just wanted to give you a little bit of that Jenkins Wars, because there's some details. Make sure y'all go research this, right? Because there's a treaty in here. And I'm going right after it says summer of 1742. Make sure you see the date. While Oglethorpe, I'm skipping down, his men fortified the road. This is the Battle of Bloody March. I'm skipping down again. The English forces sent Spanish fleeing to the coastline, right? Retreating to St. Augustine. Don't forget about Fort Mose and all this. This is their buffer zone from between Georgia, Spain, I would say Spain and the English. You see what I'm saying, God? Because they're north of St. Augustine, the Spanish territory place they're talking about. But this war is tied to Fort Mose. Francisco Mendendez, you know what I mean? And he's the one, and he's messing with natives. They're fighting against, taking sides too in this situation. However, that was in part two. That's why I did it like that, so you can go back, because I ain't going to be able to do it now. However, it's saying that, but his efforts had little result and represented in the last episode of war on the Georgia-Florida border. The treaty and its Aix La Chapelle, like Dave Chappelle, kind of, right? Is that kind of like the same way? Am I tripping? Yeah. Isn't it? Like Dave Chappelle? I think so. Like, yeah. Aix La Chapelle. You know what I'm saying? In 1748, returned all colonial claims to previous owners, and the two nations unofficially agreed upon the St. I said unofficially, by the way, agreed upon the St. Johns River as the boundary between Georgia and Florida. You know what I'm talking about? That's very significant in the Aboriginal Walk of America. You know what I mean, God? Because this is 1748, it's 3 years before Benjamin Franklin makes his observation of the world. And this is tied to Georgia. Georgia, Germans, right? There's a war that takes place. He was observing what's taking place. You know what I'm saying? But maybe that part ain't being told of what he's observing too that's happening in America, right? And how there's indigenous people fighting on both sides and all that. It's at 2 centuries. You know what I mean? So it was a ball up, like the Yamasee War 1715 between the British and they were taking sides and stuff, right? Yeah. We can keep it moving though. I mean, I had to highlight that in the Aboriginal Walk. You know what I'm saying? And wars and independence and jurisdictions. This map, I'm going to take us too close to the American independence time frame, because that's 1748, 1751. Benjamin Franklin said what he said. Don't forget all the indigenous things that still taking place. Everybody's still in their positions, etc. You can make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, I knew you were going to go there. You can travel over a little bit. St. Lawrence, that's up there in Canada and all that area. You know what I'm saying? That we were talking about earlier when dude was on the map showing you Quebec. You know what I'm saying? See Quebec right there on the map. See all them areas in different. See, look, the saga You see that, Matt, how I got the name on there? That's why the new man wasn't tripping now. You know what I'm saying? We come down a little bit. We're on the Atlantic coast. Of course, want to skate down there. Massachusetts Bay. We talked about that. You know what I'm saying? See how all these things kind of all connected, right? Algani. You know what I'm saying? Look at that word right there. It says Seneca, like Seneca kind but Senecon, Senecania, like Seneca kind. I mean, I always say Seneca, but that's what I thought of when I first saw it anyways, though. You know what I mean? Erie shout out to Nine Ether. Look at that. Erie. Ain't that interesting? It's a term that might stand out. That's an Aboriginal term. Oh, look, Chickasaw, the Chickasaw Wari. You know what I mean? Raria. Oh, Virginia obviously comes in. North Carolina. And remember, we gave you the timeline when these colonies and these George, we just walked you up to George, right? We just walked you into that war and the boundaries and everything were in the 1740s. You know what I mean? The 13 colonies, and if people want to think of them white, black, mixed, whatever, don't got control really. You know what I mean, God? Of these certain areas like that in autonomous full standpoint yet. It got a lot of issues up and down this East Coast. This is before we even get to 1775 and the independence part. But I just want to put all that in perspective. We can keep it moving on, God. Well, look, West Florida, East Florida. Yeah. Somebody bought it. So, American independence. And this right here, too, quick, Charleston during and this, obviously, this is the trick. That's all I want to show about this is that the Jenkins War, see, it's always two sides, right? So, one is the English going to say, literally, the War of Jenkins' Ear, because as I broke it down, they're mad about Jenkins' ear being cut off and shit, right? But the Spanish going to call it the La Guerra del Asiento, you know what I mean? And we're going to get to that in another time. But Asiento, look into that right now, because it's tied to the Negro and the slave trade type thing after this time frame of that war and them treaties and the territories being what's Spain and what's unofficially, right? Because there's a whole bunch of mixed people in between these lines of those situations. Now, either way, you can slide down, God. That's because I want to make sure they see that. I want to just make sure they see the connection with the Jenkins Ear, also known as Asiento, the Guerra Asiento. You know what I mean? Prisoners involved, like literally, it's talking about the Spanish-speaking mariners to the capital of South Carolina. That's that last bit at the bottom. 1740. See, we didn't keeping you in the timeline for everything they were talking about dealing with that war, right? So in the Carolinas, there's them people in the Carolinas. Boy, let me tell you, because of what was going on with that Chappelle, you know what I mean, situation, they were going through a lot of transition between Spain and the British 13 colonies fighting over that territory. You know what I mean? From an international standpoint, between two different European powers, and then tribal people taking sides. You see what I'm saying? Some Indians deeding their land to the British, you know what I mean? And some rocking with the Spanish, you know what I mean? That's in there. That's why I want to make sure you see that too, because it's just the Aboriginal walk of it. I can't, show you what they just gonna always show you. I gotta make sure I give you context to what they say. So this whole area though, Charleston and all that right there is right there. So make sure I let that sit there for a minute. This is from the South Carolina Department of Archives and History in Columbia. You know what I mean? They know about the people being prisoners of war. That's what they use, the Spanish folk that were being captured by the British folk in the war. You know what I'm saying? And then being made prisoners of war. You know what I'm talking about? And you see the Spanish had people like they just broke down, right? That were Negro or Moorish, you know what I mean? That were now what? You know what I mean? And they're being captured, you know what I mean, on these Spanish, on these ships, right? Some of them free, some of them not, right? And now they getting caught up on, you know what I mean? And brought into the 13th colony as prisoners of war in South Carolina. You know what I'm talking about? That's what's happening, to give you a short little explanation of it, yeah. We can keep it moving, guys, time-wise, I'm going to come back to this, though. Carolina Genesis. The Magna Carta influences on the Declaration of Independence, though, and the U.S. Constitution. So as we gave you all that walk and all that right there, this Magna Carta, real quick, is tied to obviously the influence of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence. So if you didn't know that, just wanted to make sure I, put that out there too. Magna Carta created a moral political premise that in many ways the American founding was built upon. The Magna Carta came to represent the idea that the people can assert their rights against oppressive ruler, and the power of government can be limited to protect those rights. These concepts were clearly foundational and central to both the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. All right, so keep it moving. Library of Congress, the England 7 Years' War, 1756 to 1763, where you get to the Royal Proclamation that we've talked about on our show probably before, obviously many times, and the counterpart waged in America, the counterpart waged in America, and the French and Indian War, as you know, as the 7 Years' War, really 9 years, doubled Britain's national debt in order to recoup some of the losses Britain incurred defending its American colonies. So this is all tied in. You feel me? How we walked up from that Alciento Jenkins ear joint, and how this is right after that, tied to this too. You know what I mean? All that going on is still all connected, y'all, internationally, right? You know what I mean? French got involved and tied in shit too, fighting against the British over right after the British got through fighting against the Spanish. You know what I'm saying? It's all like that. But see, the colonial assemblies denounced the law, claiming that the tax was illegal on the ground that they had no representation in Parliament. On the ground that you heard that, and this is were likewise furious at being denied the right to a trial by jury. Many viewed the tax as an infringement of the rights of the Englishman, which contemporary opinion held to be enshrined in the Magna Carta. Protests throughout the colonies threatened tax collectors with violence. Parliament finally bowed to pressure and repealed the Stamp Act in March of 1766. But the colonial reaction set the stage for the American independence movement. So I want you to just know a little quick into how the independence, what we call the war, revolution, even the backdrop of that even works. You know what I mean? And keep it moving, guys. Just know that this is all tied. All this is the spider web. But then I'm gonna land on him, right? We're landing on him because I want to highlight him. And all this, as we started in the beginning, the second class and the independence and the people that were here from the time frame from then going into 1775. I'm gonna use him as an example. Paul Cuffey, John Cuffey are making an appearance. Recruiting that taxation and that Stamp Act, I just got through reading, you know what I'm talking about? We did. Here we go. Got to give you all this work right here. So this is the last joint. Paul Cuffey was born a free man in Massachusetts. We mentioned the area and all that. His mixture. His mother was Native American, and his father was, it says here, of West African Ashanti lineage. An entrepreneur and philanthropist, Cuffey gained wealth as an owner of the International Shipping Company. Despite his success as an African American, he was viewed as a second-class citizen. That's why we showed that earlier now. And denied equal rights. As a taxpayer, Paul Cuffey petitioned the Massachusetts legislature in 1780 and demanded his right to vote. Free and enslaved African Americans, remember, they ain't even using that word then, free people of color, petitioned for freedom, equality, and justice through the courts. The state legislature, they sought to assert their rights, promote their identity as citizens of the new nation, and challenge their status as enslaved people. You see where you get the source and all that right there. Go down, we move fast. We move fast through this last chart. But description. The petition of the court of the Bristol County, Massachusetts, and Taunton, written by the unidentified hand and signed by John Cuffey and Paul Cuffey. The text is handwritten in black ink on the front and back sides of a single sheet of off-white paper. The petition is in regards to taxation by the state upon the signatories who, being of Native American descent, are arguing they are therefore not subject to such taxation. The documents begins, humbly sheweth that are petitioners John Cuffey, Indian man, and Paul Cuffey, a minor Indian man, sons of Ruth Cuff, Indian woman, inhabitants and residents within the town of Dartmouth, and the documents in the said John and Paul further suggest to your honor that they are Indian men and by law not the subjects of taxation for any estate, real or personal, and humbly pray your honor that they, as they are assessed jointly, double poll tax, and said Paul is a minor for whom the said John is not by law responsible or chargeable, that the said poll taxes aforesaid and also all the singular taxes aforesaid on their and each of their real and personal estate aforesaid may be, keep on going, God, abated to them, and they allow their reasonable cost as in duty bound shall pray. The signatures of John Cuffey and Paul Cuffey are on the top right section of the verso. Also on the verso are several notations in different hand, including the petition of John and Paul Cuffey at center. Now, this is their document. You feel me? Now, they're saying that they Indian man, right? But we read in the earlier, right on the same source. He's supposed to be at Ashanti, West Africa. That's what they're saying. Now, that's what they're saying. I'm going to even argue about that. That's what they're saying? Okay, fine.
What area is he in?
Massachusetts.
And who did they say was in that area earlier?
The Sephardic and Moorish and
He was also talking about the Quakers.
the Quakers, the Black Pilgrims.
Paul Cuffey was a devout Quaker.
He was a Quaker, yes, right. Paul Cuffey was that. That's a fact. And that's why I brought all that to show what's going on in that area. You feel me? And that the natives and the blacks, you know what I'm saying, are mixing. However, they want to get caught up in the different descendants of nations of what mixtures those people that are calling black in different variant terms they're using in that time frame of the 13 colonies. You know what I mean? And its expansion before 1775 and their independence with the American Revolution, right? And pulling away from Britain. And afterwards, the people who were in the 13 colonies, 1780 as Paul Cuffey and John Cuffey tied to their mama. Because they say you is what your mama is. So they say, look, I am what my mama is. Are you making me now not what my mama is based off of your European system? She free and she Indian. And my daddy was an West African. They ain't got nothing to do with the fact that you say your law system that is what my mama is. You know what I'm talking about? My mama and them fought with y'all to get independence. Why y'all tripping on us? We supposed to be citizens. You still treat me like a second class, and I'm getting money. I got ships and shit. You taxing me and I can't vote. My people aboriginal to the state that you set up the colony called Massachusetts in, Boston. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the independence. And to this day, the question would be, and I'll land this on y'all, do we have the 1/4 joint there though? Did I miss that? Is there? Let me show that reality on this one. I'm gonna show this to y'all. So if Paul Cuffey's and John Cuffey's daddy is the same, and he supposed to be Ashanti, right? But his mama, obviously, is of the nation, said to be of that territory. You can go look into it if you want to. I ain't gonna go. But however, this one drop rule thing seems to be a problem in the play of him maybe not being labeled based off his mama side because of how the one drop rule is being applied. I mean, this is obviously, look at the time frame where I'm about to read, independence, right? This is in 1911, Arkansas. This is from the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Passed the Act of 320, the House Bill 79, also known as the one drop rule. This law had two goals. It made interracial cohabitation a felony. It denied as Negro anyone who has any Negro blood, whatever, meaning one drop, thus regulating the second class citizen. We brought up the second class citizen earlier, right? And then it said anyone accused of having any African ancestry, like Paul Cuffey in that example, although the law had features unique to Arkansas, it largely reflected nationwide trends, like, because obviously Arkansas ain't Massachusetts. So don't think I'm mixing the state jurisdictions, because his black code, I don't know. You know, everybody's state, you got to look at your state. And when your state people, when you were native to them areas of them states, or when they implemented the black codes and these things like this, they implemented the one drop rule to put you and your ancestry mixed, or if you say you're not mixed, and still to a category based off the one drop rule, right? Laws against interracial sex were not new. Virginia declared extramarital sex crime during the Oliver Cromwell's era and increased the penalty for sex across the color line in 1662. So either way, this one drop rule is 1/4 in this situation. I ain't gonna read the whole thing. But it's gonna let you know. Matter of fact, though, at the bottom of that paragraph, though, bring you back up there to Virginia. In 1691, Virginia criminalized matrimony when celebrated by interracial couple. Maryland did so the following year, and the others followed. By 1776, 12 of the 13 colonies that declared independence forbade intermarriage. That's in 1776, ain't it? But the boy, they say the Confederate shit was so, you know what I'm saying, harsh and shit, but they look what they got going on up there. And all the people that's fought against Britain, right? The Germans, George and them, to get their independence are still being taxed with the code system within the Union States of the colonies. So human rights, right? But then still only getting civil within the colonies, and your ancestors were in these colonies prior to 1775 when the United States was formed as a nation, a new nation, like what taxation with representation is talking about, right? Free and enslaved, right? Either way, though, that's the independence part. Some people look at reparations, but we didn't get the human rights. And Obama said everybody had the right to a nationality, which means you would descend your family line back to nations of people within your ancestry, which means you would have today human rights and should be known that you were here prior to the United States being formed, whatever mixture you might have, and dealing with independence would be wanting to be restored to human rights and be not in a second class position. What do you think, God? That's the Lucy, I'm a car, yo. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it Yasher. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the mixture might be, you know what I'm saying? But if you've been classified as black, Negro, colored, and you went through that label status, whatever the situation might be, how it integrated, how you amalgamated, if you chose to, if you didn't choose to, you feel me? Whatever narrative it might be. You say your people came on your ships, right? You were here before 1775, right? So unless you just clearly just mixing with other slave folk the whole time, you know what I'm talking about? And you ain't got no other mixture in you, then that's your situation. Same with the on the other side. If you're saying that you was here the whole time and you ain't got no other mixture in you, okay, well, but you still ended up somehow in this one drop rule situation, huh? You was affected by it, huh? Right? It kept you in a second class position, right? Did you get your human rights yet? Independence. Check us out next week, actually. We're on part 4, right, of the story, Aboriginal Story of America. 90th is going to be back with us. We got to add on to that last joint, but we had to take a little break for this Independence weekend. So we're going to be back at you for that. This Tuesday, we got Lee coming. Shout out to Amos Carter that's going to be pulling up on us too. We got some tied to 1619 and certain things people be talking about. And on the Southern Gate, French, the Spain, and the Portuguese that went into, the tied to the slave trade and bringing people into their colonies in what we call the Americas or the West Indies, etc. So tap in with us. We see y'all. Shout out to Monte 3 days out the week or whenever's been busy. It's summertime. Shout out to him though with the news. And shout out to everybody that's been tapped in and sharing, subscribing and liking everything. And if you disagree with it and you got a source that you want to present, we're gonna present a time frame to have a conversation with you too. We ain't dodging no smoke. Tap in with us. Veronica. The harsh reality is live life autonomously. Peace.
Nigga, it's the top 5 list. drifter. Separate, sipping, and you know I came with it. If she cute with it,
do.
Whenever I start to feel alone, I just play your voice loud. That I say before things change. Now I read the message you sent, trying to